My dad did this to me when mom was away, a true infidelity story. My dad was always my hero. He was the one who taught me how to ride a bike, who helped with my math homework, and who always knew how to make me laugh. Our family felt perfect. My mom, my dad, and me. We were a tight-knit trio, or so I thought. But everything I believed in shattered the summer I turned 16. My mom had to go away for a month to care for her ailing mother. It was the first time she'd be gone for so long, and the house felt strangely quiet without her. At first, Dad and I fell into a comfortable routine. We'd order pizza, watch movies, and he'd tell me stories about his youth. It almost felt like a fun, extended sleepover. But then, things started to change. It began subtly. Dad started coming home late from work. He'd say he was caught up in meetings, but he smelled faintly of a perfume that wasn't my mom's. He became more attached to his phone, always texting with a slight smile on his face, and quickly hiding the screen if I walked into the room. I tried to ignore the gnawing feeling in my stomach, telling myself I was just being paranoid. I trusted my dad, why wouldn't I? One Friday night, he told me he was going out with some old college buddies. He seemed unusually cheerful, dressing up in his best shirt. I stayed up waiting for him, but I eventually fell asleep on the couch. I woke up in the early hours of the morning to the sound of the front door creaking open. I pretended to be asleep, my eyes slightly open, and then I saw her. A woman I didn't recognize was with him. They were whispering and laughing softly, trying not to wake me. My heart pounded in my chest so loudly I was sure they could hear it. He led her upstairs to my parents' bedroom, the room he shared with my mom. I lay there frozen, listening to the muffled sounds from above. Every laugh, every whisper, felt like a physical blow. The hero I had worshipped my entire life was betraying my mom, right under our own roof. I felt sick. The next morning, Dad acted like nothing had happened. He made pancakes, just like he always did on Saturdays, and asked about my plans for the day. I could barely look at him. The smell of the pancakes made me want to gag. How could he be so normal, so casual? The woman was gone, but her presence lingered in the air, a ghost in our home. I felt trapped in a terrible secret. Do I tell my mom and break her heart? Do I confront my dad and shatter what's left of our family? I spent the next few weeks living in a fog of anxiety. Every time Dad's phone buzzed, my stomach would clench. Every time he said he was working late, I'd picture him with her. The man I once adored now seemed like a stranger. The secret was a heavy weight on my shoulders, and I felt completely alone. The happy family photos on our walls felt like a lie, a cruel joke. The day before my mom was due to come home, I couldn't take it anymore. Dad was on the phone in the garden, and I heard him say, "I miss you too. We'll figure it out." My blood ran cold. I walked out and stood in front of him. He quickly ended the call, a look of panic flashing across his face. "Who was that?" I asked, my voice shaking. He tried to lie, of course. He said it was a colleague. But I looked him straight in the eye and said, "I know, Dad. I saw her. I know everything." The color drained from his face. For a long moment, he just stared at me, speechless. And then, he broke down. He sat on the garden steps and started crying, telling me how sorry he was, how it was a mistake, how he didn't know what to do. Seeing my father, my hero, so broken was almost as painful as the betrayal itself. He begged me not to tell Mom. He promised it was over, that he would fix it. He said it would destroy her. I was torn. I loved my mom more than anything, and the thought of causing her pain was unbearable. But wasn't she already being hurt by this lie? Didn't she deserve to know the truth about the life she was living, the man she was married to? When my mom came home the next day, her face was beaming. She hugged us both, so happy to be back. The house was filled with her laughter again, but for me, it was tainted. Every loving glance she gave my dad, every time they held hands, it felt like a knife twisting in my gut. I tried to act normal, to smile and pretend everything was okay. But the secret was eating me alive from the inside. For months, I carried this burden. I watched my parents, trying to see if my dad would keep his promise. On the surface, things seemed to return to normal, but I could see the cracks. The forced smiles, the distance between them that only I seemed to notice. My dad was trying, I think, but the guilt was always there in his eyes. And my relationship with him was permanently damaged. The easy trust and admiration I once had were gone, replaced by a complicated mix of anger, disappointment, and a strange kind of pity. I felt like I was living a double life. The dutiful daughter on the outside, and a keeper of a devastating secret on the inside. It affected my schoolwork, my friendships. I became withdrawn and quiet. How could I explain to my friends why I was so sad all the time without betraying my family's secret? The pressure was immense, and some days I felt like I was going to explode. Eventually I realized I couldn't protect my mom from the truth forever. It wasn't my secret to keep, and it wasn't my responsibility to carry. The lie was a sickness in our family, and the only cure was the truth, no matter how painful. About a year after it happened, I sat down with my mom. With my dad sitting right there, silent and pale, I told her everything. Watching my mom's face crumble as I spoke was the hardest thing I have ever had to do. Her world fell apart in that moment, just as mine had a year before. The aftermath was a storm of tears, anger, and heartbreak. Our family was never the same again. They went to counseling, they tried to work through it, but the trust was fundamentally broken. They eventually separated. It's been years now. The raw pain has faded into a scar. My dad and I have a strained but civil relationship. I've forgiven him, not for him, but for myself, so I could let go of the anger. My mom is happier now, living on her own terms. She's resilient and strong, and I admire her more than ever. This experience taught me a hard lesson about life. People, even the ones you love the most, are flawed. Heroes can fall. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is to tell the truth, even when it feels like it will break the world. It's a heavy burden for a kid to carry, and it changed the course of my life. But it also made me who I am today. Stronger, more empathetic, and brutally aware that things aren't always what they seem. If you've ever been through something similar, please know you are not alone. It's a difficult path, but healing is possible. Thanks for listening to my story.